as you're practicing it, but the more you do it and the more it becomes autopilot, that is like a stand back, an even bigger systemic ongoing practice that is clinically shown to lower blood pressure. Hi, welcome to the Judy Terrell Show, where I explore topics intended to optimize everybody 50, 60, 70, and above. Welcome, everybody, and welcome to your second 50 years on the planet. And as somebody who is 61 years old herself and a nationally board certified health coach specializing in over 50 for the last 11 years now, since I turned 50, I'm here to tell you that the information that we need to manage our over 50 bodies, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, is different than the information and the behaviors that were good for us when we were in the younger 50 years of our life. And it is my goal to bring to you information that is vetted for our demographic and our age group. And I am not just doing it for women. There's a lot of information out that's just for women in peri through postmenopause, but I specialize in men and women both because most of my clients have a significant other. So we want to make sure that you're not alone on the planet as you're living longevity and long years of a healthy health span, not just a long lifespan, using Peter Attia's language. Health span meaning that you want to live longer, but you want to live healthfully longer, fully vitalized. That is my goal for myself and why I'm putting out all my information and that my motivation for helping other people. I want to help you to have the longest health span possible, to keep your spouse and loved ones with you and age with them and them with you. And so welcome to my series right now. This is series number 15. And the topic for this series is high blood pressure. All right. What can you do using what I call behavioral medicine? And what that means is that day-to-day behaviors. What can you do in your day-to-day behaviors that can help you to lower your blood pressure if it's high, keep it at a healthy level if it's not, and avoid it going high if you're on that borderline and your doctor has said to you, listen, I'll give you 6 months to do some stuff, and then we're going to talk medication. All right? So the goal is not to replace medication. I'm not, one of these crunchy granola types that's like, medication bad, only all natural. I am somebody who says what we do on a day-to-day basis is our medicine. And so I want to bring up your awareness so that you can be doing medicine with your behaviors. I hope that makes sense. I'm sure it does. If you're watching this, because you're probably like-minded. All right. You are now in episode 3 of a 6-part series. And I want to really highlight the point that you can't just do one of the 6. So if you're just watching this episode, it's going to give you some good tools that you'll immediately be able to apply. But in order to really, have a legitimate chance of lowering the blood pressure, you have to be trying to integrate all 6 things. And the good news is that they're not hard. They're easy if you've been educated and given some guidelines that can make the tools easy to apply. And again, that is my agenda with this series and all my series, depending on the topic. All right, so blood pressure again. So I presented two episodes in the series already on intake with sodium and potassium. And now this episode is going to be about the mental part of high blood pressure. All right. So yes, what we eat and the sodium content, the potassium content, and the, other nutritional value of the foods that we eat is important to help to manage blood pressure. But you can be doing all that correctly and still, be prone to high blood pressure because of how your mind works and how our minds are being culturally conditioned, where our focus tends to go because of the culture we're living in right now. And then what can we do about that? Because how we're being, conditioned to think right now is not in line with healthy blood pressure. It's in line with rising blood pressure, high stress. What we're all kind of doing in our minds right now to some degree or another, some of us are doing it more, some of us are doing it less, but we are all doing it, it's like a negative bias is the psychological term. And, I'll use news broadcasts as an example. Right now there's so many news outlets and they all want to get our attention. So they're looking for this highly sensationalized things. And the majority of times, these are like negative things. These are shootings. These are, criminal acts by our political figures. There are negative things that are happening out in the world, and we're swimming in it. So it's what we're consuming through our ears and through our eyes, and then filtering through our filtering brain system, is causing higher levels of blood pressure because we're stressed, even if it's not happening to us, because we're constantly consuming stressful information. The war in the Ukraine, I'm shooting this about a couple of years out of the COVID epidemic, so things that we are focusing in on that have a negative skew to them. And we are getting that coming into our system at a higher level than ever before because of our technology. We're just more exposed to things that are not in our local environment. We didn't know what was happening in the Ukraine except once a night at 6:00 news, in the 1950s and 60s, let's just say. Now it's like you're swimming and it's coming at you in your car and your phone, your news at work, everywhere, waiting rooms, medical practitioners, just everywhere. And so people are always talking about what are we consuming in terms of what we're eating and how that's affecting our blood pressure, but we are constantly consuming through our eyes and through our ears into our nervous systems, all right? And that is a significant contributor to blood pressure if you are somebody who tends to kind of have this negative bias. So now, even if you're not hearing negative information, it's kind of like, all right, this was a good thing that happened. Yeah, but this other negative happened too. And so you immediately screw your own brain over to the negative. Yes, this was a good thing that happened to me, but, I didn't do it right. I should have done X, Y, Z. Our brains are constantly going to this negative bias. And part of it is cultural, all right? So, we are being schooled in it every day, even if we're not aware, all right? We're getting better and better at it because it's how our media works. It's how our internet works. It's how, the human brain is kind of drawn towards the sensationalized things, and most things that are high sensational, it's like driving by the car wreck and you don't want to look at that, but like you can't help but look at it, right? Because it's like, it's stimulating. So we're all in this kind of bias, all right? And like I said, some of us from personality variables or family of origin, how we were raised, tend to have that even more. But we all, if we have high blood pressure, catching ourselves with a negative bias, seeing things, like filtering it through our brain from a, yeah, but, even the good stuff, there's a yeah, but, and the negative stuff is, oh my God, it's terrible, right? That's two ways that negative bias happens in our brain. Then it interrupts our sleep. It makes us go into fight or flight. Our bodies spill cortisol as if we are in a threatened situation. And one of the things that goes with a fight or flight response is higher blood pressure, because we might have to fight, we might have to run, we might have to protect ourselves. Hi, everybody. I wanted to interrupt this podcast because I want to give you something. Your Second 50 Life is my virtual platform that is designed for both men and women over 50 and 60, 70, and 80. And it includes pre-recorded video information on exercise and how to do it, whether you're fit and in good health, or if you have bad knees, bad shoulders, a bad back, whatever. It includes information on how to eat for weight management and how to eat for health management. It includes information on the psychology of aging and what do we need to do in our heads. Because let's face it, this aging thing is not for the faint of heart. So your Second 50 Life is a virtual platform of resources that you can access at your own leisure, but it also includes 2 times a month live video coaching with me so that you can bring your own individual questions and get individual coaching, as well as have access to all the information on the pre-recorded videos. So please check it out, because we're all in this together and we got this if we work as a team. All right, everybody, back to the show. Meanwhile, we're sitting on our couch, watching the news with no physical output, but we got this raging blood flow as if we were going to need it, because that's how we evolved. All right, so now that's the scenario. I'm sure you can all identify with that. What do we do about that? And what can we do that can help us to counter that so our blood pressure doesn't go, through the stratosphere. And so there are several tools that you can do on a daily basis, all of them simple, but they do require you to kind of focus in on your thinking, because we want to move away from the negative bias into what is called gratitude, a positive outlook, let's say, but I tend to not like to say that because it sounds kind of Pollyanna-ish. It's kind of like saying, I'm going to take negatives and make it positive. That is not what we're talking about. But just so keep the word gratitude, as the main focus of what I'm saying. Schooling your brain when it's going into the negative bias to at least have a gratitude piece to counter that. All right. And what do I mean by this? There's a couple ways to do this. One is, and you can do it first thing in the morning or in the evening before you go to bed. And there's benefits to both. And I'll tell you that in a second. A gratitude journal. And it's not like it's simple. Like all you're going to do is say, what good happened today if you're doing it at night? What am I grateful for that happened today? What spoke to my soul? What brought me joy? In the midst of all this negative bias, there is a ton of positive things. It's just that our mental filter is going towards that negative bias. So we have to kind of work to pull it back this other direction until that starts to become a little more autopilot. Okay. So, for instance, I have a client who is really battling binge eating and high blood pressure, stress up the wazoo, has his own business, has a young family, just like stress. And, we just had positive weight loss. We've kind of gotten our finger on how to do that. And his weight is going down. And I said, oh, that's wonderful. You had a positive result. You put the effort in and it's working. Yeah, but I still have 100 pounds to go. Not only is that going to be undermining the motivation for continuing that what is working, but that's an example of a negative bias. You're not like taking in the success, because down 5 pounds is success. Even though you have 100 to go, if you don't like celebrate that, you're probably going to fail at the 100. But again, from a blood pressure point of view, it still keeps you in a stress response because it's not good enough. It's a negative bias, and you're not allowing yourself to just say, wow, yes, that was great. I did that. I worked hard and I'm getting a result. Yay, me, right? Positive gratitude. And that is actually going to help your blood pressure, because now you're feeding yourself like metaphorically a low sodium thought as opposed to a high sodium negative thought. That's a metaphor. Okay. Think about the gratitude thinking as low sodium foods. They're in the same category in terms of what they do to your blood pressure. They help to lower it. All right. So, if you were to write a gratitude journal in the morning, you could be reflect over the day before, or, what are you looking forward to in this day, even before it begins, that, speaks to your heart and makes you feel good and tends to lower the blood pressure. That could be a positive because it sets your day up for, moving you away from that negative bias and into already kind of, all right, I'm already focusing in on gratitude right out the gate. One of the benefits of doing it at night before you go to bed is if you're struggling with sleep and waking up and not being able to go back to sleep or not being able to fall asleep, busy mind, stressful mind, spilling cortisol at night, which is not when you want it because it interrupts quality sleep, then it might be a good time to do it at night to focus in on, all right, what am I grateful for that happened today? And it could be 2 or 3 things. And it could be something as simple as, when I was playing with my son or my grandson, he looked up at me and smiled, and oh my God, it was just the most joyful moment for me. And when you think about that as you're writing it down, it lowers your blood pressure. It decreases your stress level and cortisol, and it can help you to sleep. So I am if someone asked me and they didn't have their own feeling of where it might fit best for them, and they are not good sleepers, I would say to do that gratitude journal. It's just a little notebook next to you on the, it could be in your phone in a notes section. And you just, calling to mind these things that happened today that were wonderful. Great, you're grateful for, that brought you joy. All right. Significant lowering of blood pressure. The clinical analysis from the Institutes of Health, the National Institutes of Health, and other research studies that are being done on how we think and effect on blood pressure are showing just gratitude that I'm talking about can lower diastolic by 16%. That's the lower number. And that's the most important number, that if it's high, that's the most dangerous. And systolic by 10% just by practicing gratitude the way I just told you to do it. One time, 5 minutes at night before you go to bed. All right. So that's one thing. Another thing you can do is, in the throw of your day, we're in stress, like not even like the news now and the media coming in with negative, but just we're putting out fires left and right all the time in our daily lives, even though we're retired. Most of my retirees are like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm really busy and I'm stressed. So, a second tool I'm going to give you is take 5 minutes to just take a break. And when I say take a break, I don't mean go on your phone. I don't mean return a phone call. I don't mean, take the dishes out of the dishwasher because you didn't get to that. I mean, go outside, sit in a chair and just breathe. And I'm not talking about a half an hour or a meditative retreat. Those are all wonderful, but like 5 minutes. Research is showing if we can take 5 minutes and you take 2 5-minute breaks in the middle of your day to just breathe, to just look at your surroundings, and hopefully you can get outside where you're in nature, or if not, then just in your house, go in your bedroom, close the door and just lay down on your bed and just like breathe for 5 minutes, or sit on your porch or in your car before you get out of your car to go into your appointment. Like just sit in your car and just like breathe, just like this is like a little mini rejuvenation to calm down your nervous system, to calm down your blood pressure. Don't think of like your brain's going to go, but like really what you do is focus in, look at the trees, look at the sky, like get your attention on nature, elements in nature. Or I'm in my kitchen right now. Like I might look at, I have a bowl of nuts right here on the counter. I'd say, oh, those are the nuts, oh, there's a refrigerator. You're just bringing your mind to the immediacy of the moment and what's in your environment. And you can't think of two things at once, despite what we think. And so if you're stressed out about something that just happened with a deadline or a project or a health of somebody, someone just called you and there's a health issue with somebody you love, or you just watched the news and you're revved up, whatever, like just taking 5 minutes and just looking at your environment. Oh, this is the counter, that's the air fryer, there's the refrigerator. And now you're taking your mind off the stressors. That's different than gratitude, but it's like taking a reprieve from the that's in our brains that are revving us up and keeping our blood pressure high. All right. So 2 very, powerful tools that you can do it every single day, anywhere you are. And they are shown clinically when they do trials and they do studies and observational studies to significantly lower blood pressure. So take those 2. There's many others, like there's box breathing and relaxation breathing. Those are another, if you Google that, that's another thing you can do, anywhere and anytime. But the 2 tools I just gave you are 2 of the most significant ones. And if you practice them, you become better at them. And they have even a long-term effect, a more global effect on keeping your nervous system and your brain in a more, away from the negative bias into a more gratitude and what is going right kind of filter. And that is something that's it's going to serve you in the moment as you're practicing it. But the more you do it and the more it becomes autopilot, that is like a stand back, an even bigger systemic ongoing practice that is clinically shown to lower blood pressure. All right, everybody, I hope that you're taking some nuggets from this episode. If you did, go back, watch the other 2. There's 3 more to follow, all about lowering blood pressure when you're over 50. And honestly, this is a topic that's even more men have high blood pressure than women over the age of 50. Not that women don't have it and not that it's not growing, but still to this right now, the statistic is higher men. So men, like watch this, take heed. If you're a female and you have a spouse, like this and show it to them, or better yet, go to my platform and subscribe, your second 50.life. It's a resource platform of information that's all vetted for the over 50 men and women on all different topics that are related to what I call behavioral medicine. I have the national certification to say I can do that. I'm an expert in this. I have the experience and history of 40 some odd years, and I'm successfully navigating it myself. I like to be a role model for my clients and for people that, come to see my information, because, living longer and living optimally alone is no fun. I want to help you. So I have friends on the planet that are in my same age group that we can live long health spans. So thank you for joining me. We're all in this together, and you got this, and I'm here to help you. And if you'd like to have access to some of my additional resources, I can be found at Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and on my website, www.judyterrell.com.